Del. It's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Thank you so much for sending the inquiry and sharing with me some specifics about your situation. Very tough, very difficult when we are faced with a family member who really should be a sacred member of our clan. A family member really should be someone who we can trust, who we can confide in, who can help us face those insurmountable challenges of life. And unfortunately, your sister has been an issue and has some, presented some family challenges for quite some time. And this is unfortunate, but, once you get some tools and I think some resources here to handle it, you begin to get a little bit sense of more clarity and a little bit more feeling of safety, security, protection, once you know what resources there are available to you. And thank you for sharing and confiding this very important information to you. And it is private, and I appreciate you doing that. And of course, just a quick disclaimer, I am not a lawyer. I am not a psychologist. I do not provide legal advice. I do not provide diagnostic services with regards to psychology. In terms of like diagnosing your sister or things of that nature. I have studied psychology. I have my bachelor's in psychology and English. I've worked in the social services for 10 years, insurance for 15 years, as well as new product development. So I do have a good foundation, and hopefully some of my insights will be of service to you and help you get some things sorted out here. Number one, in terms of, whether she's a psychopath, whether she's a narcissist, whether she's borderline, that is really up to a firm diagnosis from a psychologist. So in terms of me being able to diagnose her, I cannot do that. Although from what you've relayed to me, in terms of her manipulation, her telling of lies, her coming out with such greed and, using others in her sphere of influence to, teach them to lie and use pathological lying, which means, lying for really, unhealthy and unnecessary means, and getting other people to do that, that is definitely a narcissistic and a psychopathic trait. Again, when we talk about the narcissist and psychopath, they're all within a spectrum of a personality disordered individual. So a narcissist will display very little bit, lack of empathy. They'll be very hurtful. In fact, they very much manipulate others and exploit them for their own ends, which sounds definitely like what your sister has done here. And I think you had mentioned, the Jewish psychologist who had also kind of conferred and offered this information to you. So, I would concur with that definitely. And the fact that, she has kind of been very explosive and done some very hazardous things, which I'm going to go into here, including access of the medical records. There's a lot of issues here, legal issues, and one which she should have professional boundaries in place, which she does not, which she should not surpass, which she does. So, one thing with psychopaths is that they literally have no conscience. They literally have no conscience, meaning that they do not possess a moral center, a true north. They have no conscience. They have no sense of right or wrong. And it gives them the ability to do things which other people normally would stop themselves from doing, such as, accessing the medical records. I think you mentioned that, she works at a clinic where your father is receiving his care and he has some medical records. This is very much a serious issue, Del. And, especially if she is, speaking to others to gain access to this information, this is in strict violation of what they call HIPAA rules. Capital H, capital I, capital PPA. Those are all capitals. Basically, HIPAA, HIPPA, HIPAA law, the Health Information and Patient Portability Act. Basically, it states still that, only someone who has access to these medical records for treatment and service of her care should have access to this information. And anyone in her office who has disclosed this information to her, who has discussed this information with her, or who has tampered this information along with her could be in strict violation of HIPAA law, which means there could be, basically a fine warranted against that organization and anyone who is involved in that, because one's medical records are discreetly protected under this law. And I know this very well from being in social services, so you might want to jot that down, because basically on what you've stated, again, I'm not giving medical advice. I don't want your father's medical advice. I'm not here to give legal advice. I'm here to provide a little bit of insight to you as what I do on YouTube. And as I mentioned, I'm not a business or anything of that nature. I'm not charging a fee for service or anything of that. I'm here to be a source of support for people because of such abuses in society. I think there's not enough resources for people to go and have access to this information, which is what I'm here to provide for you. So, the HIPAA violation is very significant. And, basically what I would state, rather than contacting her human resources, you can do that, but you need a little bit more leverage. Basically, you need a little bit of, some oomph on your side. You need someone who can really, protect you. Because if you contact HR, like the investigator from APS stated, that they can't do it for you, but they would recommend that you do, because, they probably have protocol in place still, which basically prohibits them from, getting that involved in your personal situation, which is this situation. Unfortunately, this is a situation you have to deal with, and it's causing you to feel unsafe. It's causing your father to, experience what you've described as elder abuse and financial abuse, elder financial abuse. And that is a very strict, there's regulations in place, laws in place to protect you, your father, from that sort of treatment. And sort of like in light of what you were stating, that she, had coerced he and your mother, to get in the car and then take the money out through, her manipulation and pleading and crying and whatever else. And, there's certainly, she's, 68 now? She needs to be on her own financially. And, maybe that the fact that she is not, responsible financially is, a huge red flag there. And, if she's mismanaging her funds and trying to liquidate, your parents, and I do apologize for the passing of your mother. I'm very sorry to hear that. I know that's a very difficult time, very stressful, and she should be sensitive to that. And if she's insensitive to you, then she's obviously taking abuse of yourself, exploiting you during hard times, which is, again, causing undue distress to you. And there are some legal issues here with what's going on. And I know it's never fun to deal with this on a family member, and it's also never fun to get the law involved. But sometimes for your own sanctity and protection, sometimes you do need to seek legal counsel, legal advice. You do need to seek legal representation and just have some open discussions. Now, especially when it comes to elder abuse, there are laws surrounding that in California. There are codes surrounding that in California. And depending on your county, California definitely is its own state, and they have different jurisdictions, different laws in the different counties. So, from what you've stated, you need to learn about this situation and, and speak with a lawyer who has some firm knowledge of the codes, because if your sister is going ahead and, coming into the property, trespassing, and taking jewelry and things of that nature, that is strictly, that is theft, and that is elder financial abuse. Anyone who's over the age of 65, and the item of value, I think in California, if it's over $950, I mean, it's punishable by fine and or imprisonment. That is just from my study, which is public knowledge. But I would definitely recommend you just speak, with an attorney who specializes in elder abuse, elder financial abuse, not someone who does maybe institutionalized type stuff, but somebody who is aware of the codes and violations in the state of California, particularly in your county. Search for somebody good on Google, and somebody who is in your area who specializes in that type of law, because they'll be able to better educate you and inform you on what is going on, not only with regards to your situation there, but also with the clinic, and to see what kind of legal protection and ramifications you have, so that you can get some protection. Because generally these people, Del, they are they're going to if she does have a personality disorder, if she is manipulative and exploitative, basically they'll just overtake their own they'll violate people's boundaries. But one thing generally that can help you and to feel safe and secure, which is legal protection. Basically, they have to answer to subpoenas, legal requests, things of that nature, which would be better coming from them versus yourself in terms of contacting her clinic where she works and contacting, making a complaint with the Board of Behavioral Services in California. So, since she's a marriage and family therapist, if she has violated this HIPAA protection and done some other things which are, substantive in nature, you definitely want to get a good lawyer who can research this and help make it easy for you, so you're not spending, hours and things. Somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable can definitely represent you, and you kind of have like a multidisciplinary team acting on your behalf. And they can provide this information for you. So I would definitely recommend, one, getting a notebook and documenting some of this stuff, such as this letter that you've composed. You're very clear, you're very lucid, you're very level-headed. Her allegations of this, that, and the other thing, I wouldn't let that worry you. But one thing is that is a strict, professional code that, if she is asking others to lie on her behalf, I mean, you need legal protection there. And again, I'm not here to give legal advice. I would recommend, though, speaking with an attorney. They should be able to give you a free consultation in terms of whether you have a case or what can be done for you. And the consultation is generally, you're going to be free in nature, Del. If money is an issue, there are pro bono clinics, PRO, second word bono, BONO, which means free at no charge. There is pro bono legal assistance from practicing attorneys at either, you can access them at pro bono clinics at your local courthouse. So based on your county, you can research a local courthouse who can provide you, some consultation and discussion and support. You can also contact a local law school for in your area. Within your county, you just search your local law school in your area. You might have, a high profile one, but they generally will provide pro bono legal assistance, and they can put some things together for you. But I would definitely, recommend you having some discussion along those lines, and that can help you get it sorted out and also help you to feel a little bit safer. You had mentioned that you do not feel safe, and you're wondering, what these people are capable of. I'm going to go through that here in a second video, because basically I think my videos get limited to about 15 minutes. So I'm going to put together the second half of our discussion here in a second video. Thank you, Del, and I'll see you on the next video.